Hi learners, welcome to the first lesson of reception, response and coordination in both plants and animals. Before we discuss the terms used, let us have a background information of what we shall discuss later. In Form 1, we learned that one of the characteristics of living things is that they respond to changes in their surrounding. These responses are important for their daily life. These responses are made possible by presence of hormones and the nervous system. Remember, in Form 3, you learned about hormones under the topic of growth and development. In order to survive in any environment, living organisms need to be able to detect external and internal changes in their surrounding and then respond appropriately. So the changes in external environment could be changes in temperature, humidity, among other things. The changes in internal environment are those changes within the cell. For example, sugar level in human beings. These changes affect the cell in one way or the other. Animals have two different but closely related systems of coordination, and these are the nervous system and the endocrine system. Plants do not possess the nervous system, and they rely purely on chemical coordination system, which is the same as the hormonal system, also called the endocrine system in animals. Plant responses are therefore slow and they involve growth movements. The extraposition of a nervous system in animals is probably related to their need to look for food, which requires sense organs and locomotion, and all these are controlled by the nervous system. So, for example, when animals are looking for food, they will have to move from one place to another, and for them to detect the presence of food, they require sense organs. They will have to smell the presence of food. So in this topic, we will discuss how these processes occur. Now, let us define a number of terms. The first one is irritability or sensitivity, and this is responsiveness to change in environment. For instance, touching a hot pan, you will feel that something has changed in your hand, something hot. So that is responsiveness. You are responding to change in environment. The other one is stimulus, and this is a change in the environment of organisms, which causes change in organisms' activity. Example of these stimuli include light, heat, sound, chemicals, pH, which is a degree of acidity or alkalinity. We also have water, food, and oxygen. So when it is one, we call stimuli. This is in singular. In plural, when there are many, we call them stimuli. For instance, when it is hot and you had your sweater on, you will remove it. So the hotness is the stimuli. And then response. This is a change in activity of an organism, and it is caused by stimuli, which we have named them here. For example, when you touch a hot pan, you will feel the hotness and you will drop the pan. So you will be responding to heat. Receptors are parts of the body which perceive or receive the or detect the stimuli. The other one is effectors, and these are parts which bring about response. The example of touching a hot pan, in this case, you will drop the pan immediately, and it is brought about by the effectors. So your muscles will contract. So muscles are the effectors. How is irritability important to living organisms? One, it enables them adjust to different environmental conditions. If it is arid or semi-arid or aquatic environment, so it will enable organisms to adjust in those environments. It also enables living organisms to escape dangerous stimuli. For example, termites will move from excess light, which may cause them to dehydrate or dry. So for that matter, that organism will survive and reproduce and even pass to the next generation. Tactic responses is the first type of response we shall discuss. And this is a response in which a whole organism or its motile part move. For example, a gamete, this is a motile part. Sometimes the whole organism may move. And what causes tactic responses? First, it is unidirectional stimulus. It is coming from one direction. And always it doesn't involve growth. Response can either be positive or negative. And then it is named according to the source of stimulus. For example, phototaxis. So means photo means light. So this is response towards light. That is called phototaxis. Aerotaxis is the other one. When something or a place is aerated, it means it has plenty of air. And the air which living organisms breathe in is oxygen. So aerotaxis is response to changes in oxygen concentration. Chemotaxis, from the word chemo or chemicals, you will have chemotaxis. So let us discuss the types of that response. The first one is osmotaxis, and this is movement in response to changes in osmotic conditions. For instance, marine crabs burrow or hide in the sand to avoid dilution of body fluids. The other one is thermotaxis, and this is a locomotor response to temperature changes. For instance, paramecium moves away from a location of low temperatures to moderate or average, or in other words, favorable temperatures. The other one is rheotaxis. This is a response to variation in the direction of water or air currents. For instance, these insects, butterflies and moths, fly against the direction of wind in order to detect the scent of flowers, which they will obtain nectar from them, and then they will maybe pollinate the flowers. So for example, when the wind is blowing from south to north, these insects will then fly from north to south. They will be flying against the direction of the wind. Also, fish and planarians move against water currents. Aerotaxis is the other one, and this is a response to changes in oxygen concentration. When amoeba moves from an area of low oxygen concentration to a region with high oxygen concentration is an example of aerotaxis. These tactic responses are very important to living organisms because it enables them to avoid unfavorable or dangerous environment. It enables them also to escape from predators, those who eat them, because they will smell or they will detect the presence of danger. It enables them to seek favorable environment. We have seen paramecium here moving from a region of low temperatures to a region of favorable environmental conditions. Even amoeba moving from a region of low oxygen concentration to a region where there is plenty oxygen. Chemotaxis. And this is movement in response to concentration of chemical substance. For example, in bryophytes, remember in Form 3, is a division in plantae kingdom. We have division bryophyta, pteridophyta, and spermatophyta. So these are simple plants, like the moss plant. So antheroids move towards the archegonia. So these antheroids are the male gametes. They move towards the male gamete, female gametes to effect fertilization. Mosquitoes usually fly away from insect repellent. So whenever a place with full of mosquitoes is sprayed with insect repellent, definitely they will move away and seek a favorable environment. Sperms usually move towards ova. So this is the region where sperms are deposited during copulation, and then we have the ovum or the ovary here, which produces ova. So the sperms will move towards the ovum to the place called oviduct or the fallopian tube, where fertilization occurs. So remember, fertilization occurs in the oviduct. Phototaxis. This is movement in response to direction and light intensity from the word photo. For instance, euglena and spirogyra, as well as fruit flies, usually tend to concentrate where light intensity is maximum and will respond to light by swimming towards it. So this is an example of positive phototaxis. Woodlice, termites, and maggots usually move away from light. So that is negative phototaxis. You can see here lit box, and there is a dark box. So these are termites moving away from light. This is a negative phototaxis. The other type of response is called tropism, and this one is growth movement of plants in response to external unilateral or unidirectional stimuli. This response comes from one direction, and plants often respond by growing in a particular direction. Such growth movements are called tropism, and they are the result of unequal growth in the part of the plant that respond. The stimulus cause unequal distribution of growth hormones called auxins, and these are produced by the plant in the shoot. One side grows more than the other, resulting in a bend either towards the stimulus, which we will say it is positive tropism, or away from the stimulus, and we will call it negative tropism. Just like tactic responses, they are named according to the stimuli which cause them. The first type of tropism is called phototropism. And if seedlings are exposed to light from one direction, their shoot grows towards light. Shoots, or the tip of the plant where there are leaves, is said to be positively phototropic because they grow towards light. The tip of the shoot receives the light stimulus from one direction, but the response occurs below the tip. The response of this shoot is due to a plant hormone called auxin produced at the tip. It then diffuses down the root to this zone of cell elongation, where it causes the cells or the shoot to bend towards light, and that is what we call phototropism. This is the shoot bending towards the source of light. The other one is thigmotropism. It is also called haptotropism. And this growth response of a plant is when it comes in contact with an object. Contact with support causes migration of auxins to the outer side, causing growth on the side away from the contact surface. The parts like tendrils or the stem then coil around the plant for support. So this is a hard object, this is a strong support. So these are the tendrils coiling around for support. The other one is geotropism, and this is a growth curvature in response to gravity. Roots will grow downwards and they show positive geotropism. Shoots, or that part, the tips of the leaves are negatively geotropic. You can see the roots are bending downwards and the shoot is growing up. We also have chemotropism as a type of tropism, and these are growth movement of parts of a plant to unilateral source of chemicals. So from the word chemo, chemicals form a gradient between two regions. For instance, pollen tube growing towards the ovary down the style. This is the pollen grains usually land here, and then after that they germinate a pollen tube which will grow downwards here towards the ovary to cause fertilization. And remember, in Form 3 you learn that the ovule will develop to become seeds, while the ovary will become the fruit. The other one is hydrotropism. When you hear the word hydro, it means a response to source of water or moisture. Usually roots grow toward the source of water. That means they are positively hydrotropic, while leaves are negatively hydrotropic. You can see this plant is far from water source, but its roots are moving, crossing this other one to water source. So these tropic responses are very important to plants because, one, they expose leaves or shoots in positions for maximum absorption of light for them to make their own food. It also enables roots to obtain water. And remember, water is required for various activities in the plant, for instance, in the process of photosynthesis. It also enables plants or plant stems and even tendrils to obtain support, especially those that have weak or herbaceous stems. It enables roots to grow deep into the roots for support or anchorage. It enables pollen tube to grow to embryo sac to facilitate the process of fertilization. That makes the end of the lesson. I believe you enjoyed. Go through this assignment to gauge whether you understood. That marks the end of this lesson. Let us meet in our next lesson. Goodbye.